Here we go. We are we're good. We are good. So I guess today we're gonna talk about some of the important news of the day, kind of really of the weekend, more than of the day. Looks like El Salvador's president announces to make Bitcoin legal tender. The thing is, he wants to do it, but hasn't happened yet. He has to go through his Congress pretty much to approve it. Looks like it is definitely a kind of a bullish news for Bitcoin. Of course, El Salvador doesn't really have that big of an influence geopolitically, especially. So
Yeah, El
it's
Salvador's entire GDP is about 3% of Bitcoin's market cap. There's only
yeah,
so much that they could have.
yeah. In fact, their prime minister or president, or I'm not sure. Looks like it's the president, of course. Has said that in fact if 1% of the money that is invested in Bitcoin would be invested in El Salvador, it would increase the GDP by 25%. And this is kind of the tweet that he put out. It's a good idea because of course people that are Bitcoiners are gonna be interested in moving towards a country that approves Bitcoin as legal tender, especially because of the capital gains tax. Since he came out also recently saying that, of course, there will be no taxes on capital gains on Bitcoin, which is pretty cool in a sense. A lot of crypto people will be interested in moving towards a country that kind of is crypto centric, and
Right.
yeah, it's gonna have some really good development for their country, especially if they pull it off, because there's
Because
already
whenever,
people. Yeah, go ahead.
whenever you make a trade between currencies, there's no capital gain. So by making it legal tenure, it's no longer an asset. It's money.
Yeah, it's money, and so it's a pretty cool place to for crypto people to move to now. And it looks like also Paraguay is starting to think about making a move like this. I'm not sure what the US is thinking about this, related to their influence over these countries, since their currency is pretty much. Not sure. I'm not sure what kind of currency they have really.
El Salvador
In
uses the US dollar as their main currency.
they use the US dollar. Yeah, so that's already losing a lot of influence for the US in this country if they pull it off. Of course, it
Well,
has to be seen if they.
yeah,
Go
they
ahead.
wouldn't be getting the US dollar. They would just have Bitcoin as a legal tenure.
Oh, yeah, yeah, which is cool, which is cool.
Mhm.
Other news that came out a couple of days ago, which is quite interesting, is Norton 360 antivirus set to launch Ethereum mining platform and wallet. This is pretty cool because who's like the type of consumer that gets an antivirus, especially from Norton, how, let's say, less tech savvy they tend to be. So this is interesting because they will get their first approach to crypto for the first time, and especially through their antivirus, which means that pretty much they will be able to mine crypto to pay back for their Norton subscription. And so it's a win-win for Norton because they say, well, if you get our antivirus, it protects you, and you also make money from it. And especially for people that don't really know and think them and may think that mining crypto might be extremely hard and complicated, they make it extremely simple for those people, and so they get their first step kind of into the crypto markets through an antivirus software. So it's kind of like the opposite of what McAfee did. It's interesting. Antivirus companies are really interested in crypto for some reason. I guess because of all the ransomwares and stuff, and the indirect exposure that they kind of have through all the messes that sometimes happen with ransomwares and stuff like that. So it's interesting to see this development, especially while Bitcoin is kind of not doing anything really for the last couple of days after that
Just
big
taking a
dump
little,
that we had. Yeah,
kind of tired, all tuckered out.
yeah, it is. it is taking a little bit of a nap. Other important news, we have US bank JPMorgan is looking for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and proof of stake pros. So it looks like the guys at JPMorgan are interested in getting some of that blockchain action in their bank. So it's really, really interesting that that also banks and big institutions are starting to for real get into crypto and actually try to provide. Even probably JP Morgan is going to look for some sort of custody service for cryptocurrencies. That's what it seems like. As well as probably they're also interested in investing in the space somehow and maybe getting their clients onboarded. This is coming after also news of it's not the first bank that gets really involved into crypto. We had ING Bank, we had even Societe Generale in Europe that launched actual tokenized products on Tezos, for example. So there is already quite a big shift coming from older institutions to move towards crypto, and yeah, it's pretty cool. What do you think about it?
I mean, it's a good sign. I mean, institutions have been moving into crypto for a while now. It's pretty much a legitimatized asset class. Regulations are becoming much more clear. So of course the banks are going to want their hand in it. They're not going to allow any asset class out there that they can't, to some extent, control. And the only way to do that is to be involved, right?
Yeah, I guess they wanna put the hand in the jar as well to get some of that sweet honey, some of that sweet crypto honey. So this is big. This is big. Of course, this is not gonna have most likely an impact on price as of today, since there's really they're really getting their first little tiptoes into the water to start looking into crypto and start working with crypto. And especially it feels like Bitcoin and Ethereum is the all show, even though there's like millions of other coins that are interesting as well, and have their own value proposals. But it looks like almost everyone is only talking Bitcoin and Ethereum at the moment. Of course, they're the two biggest cryptos, but there's also other ones that are interesting. So we'll see how that goes, especially for altcoins, and how and if the dominance of Bitcoin is gonna start rising back up, or are we gonna have that sweet flippening that we all are kind of looking for, especially because if Ethereum starts taking over, then that would be the leader of the space, and that will dictate the direction. And as we know, as of today, Ethereum in a much better spot than Bitcoin, especially since it's trying really hard to go back up, but it's being a little bit cautious because of Bitcoin. If Bitcoin would give some signs of upside, doesn't look like it's giving them, but if it would, probably Ethereum would be one of the first ones to rally, especially looking at its dominance, and that dominance is rising every day. So we're approaching again 20% of the entire crypto market for Ethereum, which is quite interesting. Quite a big.
Right? Like, if you want to be involved in DeFi, if you want to be involved in NFTs, all these things, you got to go through Ethereum. You need Ethereum to do all that. You don't need Bitcoin for all those things. So exactly. A lot of people come into the space for DeFi, for NFTs, they got to buy Ethereum. That's why, like, that's the argument for Ethereum to eventually become bigger than Bitcoin, which...
And also there's like this false dichotomy of people that are, let's say, outside of the crypto space, and they're talking about how like Bitcoin can never be a currency because of its deflationary stance, where if everyone would start using Bitcoin as a currency, as like tender, it would cause problems over the course of time because of centralization of wealth, because inflation is kind of used in a sense also to try to distribute wealth a little bit more, whereas Bitcoin being deflationary, the bigger players are always going to be bigger, and the smaller players are always going to be smaller, which leads to certain problems over time. Doesn't mean that Bitcoin has to be currency. As of right now, we shifted the narrative more over to Bitcoin being a store of value because of its deflationary aspects, kind of like gold. So we'll see if that narrative keeps on pushing forward or going forward. And also with the there's multiple problems with Bitcoin as a currency of today, especially with the low TPS, and using layer 2s is not really a solution because of the fact that they're vampiring of the network, meaning that when we will get to that day where every single Bitcoin has been distributed, if we keep on using layer 2s, then how are the miners, what is the incentive for the miners to keep on mining? That's the big question.
Well, there's always going to be some load on the network. Like even the layer 2s have to interact with the network at some point in time.
Yes, but I'm not sure if because if you think about it, the more layer 2s you will have, the less transaction fees you will incur in, because the idea is of course to lower the transaction fees over time. The thing is, are we gonna have enough adoption at that point where even if we use layer 2s, we have enough people transacting that the miners have an incentive to keep on mining? Or will we have to move to an inflationary type system where the supply of Bitcoin is not capped anymore? Or will the whole ecosystem evolve and the Bitcoin ecosystem evolve to a point where people are going to be able to actually transact on the blockchain itself with low fees and high transaction throughput that we don't have right now? So we'll have to see. Looks like Bitcoin is trying to take a dive right now, probably because of the stock market. Yeah, stock market's kind of trying to turn back down a little bit in the meanwhile. But let's go back to the news. This is one of the biggest highlights of the weekend. G7 countries announced historic global deal on minimum corporate tax. This feels a lot like the only country really having any type of change would be Japan, that had 10%, if I remember correctly, corporate tax, and now they will have 15 like every other country. But already Italy is already higher, France is already higher, US is already higher than 15. So I am not sure what the whole point of this is, other than maybe pressure other countries into adopting these standards. But are they really gonna? What is the influence of the G7 countries in that? Maybe they do have some sort of influence somehow, in which they can force also the tax havens and the other countries to start applying this 15% minimum global tax. So we will see. It really feels like it's just trying to appeal to people that don't really know and feel like that they're doing good for the people that voted for them, saying that yes, now we're gonna tax the rich, but the rich are not really being taxed in the G7 countries for the most, really. Or they find ways in which they can avoid taxes anyways completely, like with foundations or non-profits where people actually just put their money in there, saying that they donated it to this non-profit foundation, so they pay zero taxes on it, and then the non-profit foundation invests that into something and they make profits without having to pay fees. So that's really a big one. I'm not sure how that is going to impact as gonna have any kind. I'm sure this is probably not going to have any kind of impact. That's what I think about it. What do you think?
I think if a company wants to base itself outside of the G7 jurisdiction, they still can, right? Like, what does this change?
Really nothing. It just appeals. It just appeals to people. That I guess is the most important really thing, to appeal to the masses and say, well, we're gonna tax the rich, even though they really don't. So it is what it is. Another big news, well, relatively big, Texas government signs law creating legal framework for crypto investment. Finally, US states are starting to, at least Texas is starting to find some sort of regulatory framework for investment in crypto and in the crypto space, which is good in a sense, but we all know how regulations can have a bad impact on crypto, because of, especially with the with a lot of tokens being deemed as securities, and all the issues connected with that. So we'll see this how it plays out. But Texas seems to be for crypto, which is a good sign, which is a good news, which is good stuff. Anything else? So we're gonna look at a little bit of the metrics of the market. If you want to pull up Bybit.com, that's where we're getting all this information from. So crypto fear and greed index at 15, really low. US dollar index down slightly today. Gold also down today, not massively, only 0.21%. As for Binance, seems to be geared toward longs. 50.48% of open interest as of today on the perpetuals is towards long. Bybit, same thing, 5.52. FTX 50.38. Binance USD short. BitMEX long. Derbit short. Bitfinex long with 53%, quite a big number. Wobi 50.42% long. Bybit 51. This is Bybit USDT. I guess it's another Bybit contract with Tether backing. But the bigger one is long as well. So OKX, same thing, goes for OKX, is at 50.71 as of right now. Wobi 50.53 longs. OKX again, same, still being long. Kraken is short as of today with 50.34. Femex strongly long. Bitcoin BUSD pair strongly long with 65 and 64%. As for the funding rates on Bitcoin are quite low, both for longs and for shorts. So there's not really that big of an extent. It feels like there's not much speculation going on. Looks like there's a lot of people shorting Ethereum Classic on Binance. That's kind of the highlight of the fundings, and a lot of people longing Ethereum Classic on the other side on OKX. So that's kind of interesting. Another one that is paying longs is Tezos. Actually today Tezos had a little bit of a move up, and both on OKX and Binance. So the funding is paying longs on this one. IOTA is a little bit of a similar situation as of Ethereum Classic, negative 0.21 on Binance, and pretty much paying longs on OKX. So it's an interesting, even possible spread trade that you might want to take. As per open interest, let's take a look at what the open interest is looking like. Open interest is on the decline, minus 3% today. So open interest keeps on declining, which is interesting. So less people are speculative on crypto at the moment. Liquidation volume, of course, down due to the low volatility. It's really hard to get liquidated in a market like the one that we have today. And also volume down 8% today, which is interesting. Let's take a look at the depth of the order books. It does look like that we have a skew of buyers instead of sellers as of right now. Nothing major, but it looks like we have a little bit of upside potential looking at the books. So this is definitely interesting. As of the charts, what's happening in the charts? What do you think about Bitcoin?
I mean,
What
we're
is
in
your
the same range we've been in for since that big drop. We've got
Yeah.
no resolution, and yeah, it could go either way.
Really, it's a 50-50 kind of situation here. Thing is,
I mean, I think
there is a little bit of on my side. I have a little bit of a bullish bias due to the fact that we have dropped so much. There is usually some sort of a relief rally after a dump like this. So that's what I'm looking for, some sort of a relief rally. But if we start taking the 30K, then it's kind of pretty much straight down to 20 to the 28, between 28 and 26 range, and then possibly even $22,000. And
we
those
lose
would
30K.
be, yeah,
We gotta
yeah,
reach it really quickly, or else
yeah,
we're gonna be in trouble.
yeah, and it's gonna be quite a fast and big drop. So careful out there for the leverage traders. It could be really either you make a fortune or it's a bloodbath, really. So it's really tough to be able to call the direction of the market, especially with such a tightening range. Like we have been all day long yesterday between pretty much 34 and 36, and we have not moved an inch above it or below it. It's been quite sidewaysy, quite sidewaysy. As for the total market caps, they are trying to move up, of course. Now we're getting a little bit of a dip, but the total market caps are looking slightly better than Bitcoin, since the altcoins actually bottomed at $623 billion. This is, of course, crypto total market cap excluding Bitcoin. And now we are around $1 trillion again, which is quite an interesting sign. We had quite a big bounce from that. This shows how thin the liquidity really is in these markets, where you can go from 1.5 trillion to a quarter of that in like days, which is kind of devastating for most people that don't really know how crypto works. Like, you can be a millionaire one day and poor the other. It really is that way, especially with volatile assets. The Bitcoin dominance is still falling, which is also a bullish indication. Seems like there's more confidence into altcoins than into Bitcoin, even though the high volatility of altcoins, especially if we would have a big drop in Bitcoin, this dominance is likely to revert to the upside. I am quite sure we're not gonna have any kind of unpegging in the near term of Bitcoin and altcoins. The likelihood of this shooting back up is quite high. So this is something to consider for sure. Ethereum still trading in this consolidation region. The upside on Ethereum is quite big if this would break resistance at $2,900. Well, between $2,900 and $3,000, those are the big levels to be looking at. If those would be breaking, there is a highly likelihood that we will run and try to make a new high. This, of course, could take more time. Given what Bitcoin does, it will take either more or less time. If Bitcoin starts moving up,
never underestimate Bitcoin could go sideways.
Yeah, exactly. Coin is a little bit of on an uptick today, which is good. It's still down massively. People that got in at the beginning are, as we say, kind of wrecked at the moment. The market should be open though. It should be open, right? It is. So I'm not sure why it's not showing up anything here. Looks like it's like pre-market, even though it's not. I'm not sure what's up. Okay, there you go. It fixes it itself. Looks like it's trading in real thin liquidity coin. There's really not a lot of people buying and not a lot of people selling. Like the 1 minute looks like the worst altcoin, even though it's like one of the major stocks for crypto, really, coin. Then another important, let's say not important, but one of the big crypto stocks, big to say, quote unquote, is B farms. B farms already still trading sideways exactly like Bitcoin. So nothing big happening also on this one. What about, let's check out MicroStrategy as well, since we have our friend Sailor that is not doing that well. Not doing that well.
He's just gonna buy more.
If he has the money, yeah, sure.
Oh,
I think at a certain point he will run out. Look, that had a major rally. It went to $1,320 and then dumped all the way back down to $474. They have earnings coming out on the 29th of July, so that's gonna be also interesting for it. But it pretty much tracks what Bitcoin does. So if Bitcoin goes down, this will go down, of course, since they have most of, like, I think every single dollar that they had, they turned into Bitcoin. So it's gonna most likely follow exactly what Bitcoin does. Anything else? AVAX trading still sideways. Monero moving up against Bitcoin. As always, it feels like a lot of privacy coins are having a little bit of fun against Bitcoin, but nothing to be excited about, really. Tezos is moving up a little bit today. BNB not making that big of a move, but it did break its kind of resistance. Not really, it's kind of trying to move up. If it kind of manages to, it would be nice. Also, BNB would have a big run if Bitcoin decides to move back up. Well, the SPX today trading down. It is not looking too good. We gapped up today though, so there might be a chance for a new all-time high. Doesn't look likely, but we might try it. I guess the gap up was a test to make a nice little new all-time high, but it looks like it ain't gonna happen today because the gap up was sold all the way back down. Do you have any interesting other news to talk about, or other market developments that you would like to talk about?
and one of the coins I follow pretty closely, Noya, I'm seeing a bullish setup on the daily here. So a lot of bullish divergence starting to form. It's been making lower lows on the closes. The RSI is showing higher lows. So something to look at, something to watch.
That's you're correct on that. This is looks like it's back at the consolidation. We were talking about this the other day. I see this if it does manage to bounce again from here, and it's really all based on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin like tanks, the chances of this rallying are quite low. But if Bitcoin decides to move up, this is definitely like something to pick up for sure. But I'm gonna be patient and wait for when Bitcoin decides the direction. Is it gonna go up? Is it gonna go down? We really don't know. We really don't know. As per
Whichever way it goes, it could chop around for a while more too. We could go up to 53K and then maybe 20K the next week. Like, this is the time where there's a lot of risk, a lot of volatility coming, I think.
Yes, but it feels like everyone is waiting for a move. So what Bitcoin will do is it will go sideways forever. Yeah. It will probably be like the funniest thing would be if Bitcoin stays in this like tight range for like till the end of the month, where it just goes sideways in this range for like a month, an entire month, and it builds a nice little base. That would be the best looking one, best looking like type of scenario, in the sense that we go sideways for a little bit and then we attempt to move back up. We see if we do it, and if we do it, at least we know that when we come back here for, let's say, maybe the next bear market or whatever, at least we have strong support, which is quite cool. Thing is, we already tested this region. We already had a consolidation at this 30k region. So it depends on how hard the bulls are willing to defend their position. That's what's up. And how much bears are willing to sell at 30k and see who wins there. The volatility is already turning down and the volume is already at lows, at extreme lows. Like it's definitely well below what it has been in the last period of time. The last time we had, like looking at the previous day, at Sunday, keep in mind it's Sunday, so the volume is low. It was already, probably not. Probably it's just because it's Sunday. I don't want to bullshit about it. It's probably because it's Sunday, but the overall volume is definitely trending to the downside. So we will see some fireworks most likely soon. Probably maybe a fake out in either one of the directions and then continue sideways again. Then squeeze the volume and then continue pump in a one direction, fake out, then continue sideways for a little bit more. For the yield farmers, this type of scenario is actually ideal because they really don't have that much of an impermanent loss in what they're holding and they get yield. So in a sense, it's a really good time to accumulate or at least start buying something at these prices, since you're like far off from the all-time highs. You know that if you buy something, at least you're not buying it at the all-time high. You're already buying it in some sort of a discount. Of course, this could go both ways, so my non-financial advice would be to buy a little bit, and then if it goes lower, buy another little bit more, and then build up your Bitcoin position over time, which is always the best way to go at it if you don't want to actively trade the volatility. And in the end, if you actively trade the volatility, you will most likely make less money than someone that is just DCAing and slowly buying Bitcoin. So that's what's up. I think we don't have anything else to discuss. I think we're gonna end it here, and then maybe next time we will be able to do it live, hopefully. That's the idea. So this is just a test run, a little bit of a test one. We see how it goes, see what the flow is, and for the next ones we will be trying to do something a little bit better, and at least live. Alright, I think that's it. Bye.